All right, in this particular video, we're simply going to highlight line measurements. All right, and when we're talking about line measurements, we are actually going to be referred to straight line measurements, as you can see in this particular part of the question above. And we are also going to focus on, well, those curves as well. Remember for me, when you are doing straight line measurements, I strongly advise that you utilize a page, the straight edge of a page. All right, so keep that in mind for me, please. In many instances, the pages might actually be very, very important. Why? Because of the fact that they have a straight edge. You put it straight across, all right, along the line. Mark your starting point, and I also want you to mark your end points as well. All right, you will do this for the entire dimension of the line. All right, as you can see, we are aligning the particular page itself on the particular lines. We are actually going to put our mark with a pencil. You could use a pen, it's up to you. All right. Then you want to come down the scale. This is the scale at the bottom here. Starting point, finishing point. All right. Put that on the scale. Let's see what we get. Starting from 0, always start at 0. As you just go straight across, you will realize that it is in fact 10 kilometers. All right. 10 kilometers. So for this particular line that we measured just now is actually 10 kilometers. Keep that in mind for me, please. All right. All right, let us tackle the second part of the question here, which is in fact question number 2. The same concept applies. All right, let us simply include our initial mark. All right, and as we go along, we will simply include the marks along the paper itself, as you can see here. All right, be sure that you are doing this accurately. Make sure that you have a proper pencil. All right, my nib is a little bit dull, but that's okay. Make sure that you could do this multiple times to check over to ensure that you have the correct markings on the paper itself. All right, always remember at the same time when you're doing a question like this, all right, it is always advisable to check over, always. All right, so you have your start and you also have your finish point, as you can see on the diagram here on the page itself. Now we have to bring that across to the scale using the same scale at the bottom. All right, always start from 0. All right, start at 0, and you realize you will mark off. This mark here is a large mark, represents 10 kilometers. Okay, and we're going to put this now at the 0 again, and we're going to proceed forward. So from this point, we realize that it actually come all the way down to, we'll get 4 additional kilometers. All right. If it is 4 additional kilometers, that whole distance will be 14 kilometers in total. 10 and 4 is 14. All right. And we have a small little piece to measure as well, which is not the whole kilometer. However, no 2 kilometers, that is. So we're going to put that on the smaller part of the scale. All right. It cannot fit. You realize these are too large. So we're going to start from 0. We have individual lines leading up to this particular point. Let us see. From these 2 different points on the paper, we have 0.5, 0, 1.5. All right, it is not 2 yet. It is actually 1.5 kilometers. So this distance that we have here is essentially 1.5 kilometers. So let us add up everything. 14 and 1.5 will give you 15.5 kilometers. That's 15.5 kilometers. So the distance of number 2, the length of these lines here, number 2, right, of this line I should say, in number 2 is this zigzag region, is actually 15.5 kilometers. All right. If you have any doubt, you can actually go back and see exactly how you have to execute this. Be sure to do it multiple times. If you realize you did it at least 2 times and you got the same reading, that's all well and good. If you realize you did it at least 3 times and you got different values, do it again. All right. All right, folks. So for this particular part, we're actually going to do the curves now. All right. Now, when we are doing curves, I want you to bear in mind, I strongly advise that you use a string. All right. And in terms of using a string, it will actually be able to give you a better mobility and curvature, especially when it comes to the line itself, which is not straight. All right, I'm going to use a white string. I hope you can actually see it properly here. And the reason why I'm actually using a white string is because I want to put I would like to put a mark, all right, on the string itself, all right, especially when I'm at the end of the particular line. All right, first things first, make sure you put a proper knot. So that could be a starting point. You make a proper knot on your string, all right, so you guarantee you have a proper starting point to begin. As you can see it here on the screen. All right, let us begin with question number 4. Okay, you're making sure that you put your line on. All right, so you're making sure that you put your line directly on the starting point and you're making small increments. Use your nails. All right, you're making very, very small increments as you proceed. All right, make sure the string is on the line. All right, use your fingernails to clamp down on the string as you make your curves. All right, don't make too large of a curves, right? But at the same time, this is in fact very, very important. All right, and as you scroll down, as you move further in, right, you will eventually realize that you will come to the end. This is where you will take a pencil, all right, and you will simply mark the string. It is a white string, you will actually see it properly, especially if you mark with a pencil or a pen, is up to you. All right, this should be repeated multiple times. All right, multiple times to ensure that you have the correct measurement of it all. All right, the same premise applies. You start from 0. All right, put the bulb, which is this little nut, at 0, and you realize this is actually 8 kilometers. All right, the actual dot is actually lining up with 8 kilometers. So the length of the first curve is essentially 8 kilometers. All right, and you should simply write it in very quickly. All right, 8 kilometers. Like I said, you should check this over again multiple times to ensure that you have the correct reading. Okay, let us tackle the second part, the second curve. All right, which is essentially number 5. All right, this one right here. All right, let us use the same concept. Okay. All right. When you are to begin, make sure that the knot is on the starting point. You're making small incremental bites moving into the line. Again, the same concept applies. Use your fingernails. All right. If you have no fingernails, well, try to use your fingers. Anyway, so use your fingernails and you make some small incremental bites until the end of the existing curve itself. All right. Do this, you have to have a little bit of patience for this, all right? But do it multiple times. If you make a mistake, start over. All right? If you make a mistake, I actually made a few mistakes when I was doing the video initially, and I had to start over a few times because sometimes the string might actually pull. So when you reach the finish line now, take your pencil, all right? Remember your nail is holding it there in place, and you are simply marking the edge just where the line has ended. All right? Now you are going to take that now. You realize you can see the mark here, kind of dark mark with pencil or pen is up to you. All right. You're going to take the entire string now. You're going to put that over the scale. Start from 0. I've seen multiple times people starting from the edge of the scale. Start from 0. Make sure. And you realize you can see automatically this is a little above 10 kilometers. All right. Let's get the full measurement now. All right. So we're curving across, making sure you're trying not to move too much. You're actually going to mark that point where the 10 kilometer is. All right, so so far it is 10 kilometers. That is not the full answer. As you can see, it is a small increment. This little small dot right here. These two dots are very small. It cannot be measured within this whole big gap. You simply have to use the smaller part of the scale. You are seeing from 0 to 1. So far we already measured 10, and now we have 1 kilometer additional. So technically, the distance will be 10 plus 1, which is essentially 11 kilometers. All right, so the length of this particular curve, which is number 5, is essentially 11 kilometers in distance or length. All right, I hope this video is actually beneficial to you all. All right, any questions, you can feel free to ask, or you can simply tackle it on your own. This is something where you need to practice. All right, students, I want you to make sure you practice this multiple times. Okay? All right, you all keep good.